I, 40 female, was married to Chris, 42 male, for 15 years. We have 3 children, Alex, teen male, Lexi, tween female, and Spencer, tween male. I filed for divorce 2 years ago because Chris is obsessed with moving to a warmer climate. During COVID, he began working from home, and by the end of the year, his company decided to give up office space, and now he's had the opportunity to live anywhere. Years ago, we agreed that we would move when we retired. Unfortunately, he became obsessed with this idea, and I refused to entertain it until our kids were done with school and I could get my pension. We tried therapy, but he wouldn't compromise, like buying a vacation home. It was full-time in a warmer location or nothing. Finally, it got bad enough that it was the only thing he ever focused on. It absolutely destroyed our marriage, and the resentment is strong. He was confident he would get custody of our kids because he makes a significant amount more than me, and his family is pretty wealthy. He was also sure that Alex would want to move with him because he loves the place my ex wants to move to and plans to attend college in that state. He knows I would never be far from any of my kids and hoped to divide and conquer, and that would force me to go too. My ex was pretty much laughed out of the court by the judge and told he could not uproot his children because he wants to live in warmer weather. He wanted custody, but the court looked at the children's best interest, and we were ultimately awarded joint legal custody. Now he has to work it out with me since he needs my approval to take the kids, which will never happen. He's tried to pressure Alex, but to our surprise, Alex is not interested in his father's bribes. He went as far as buying a house there and met a local woman about 6 months after we filed. She's pressuring him to move full-time. He can only afford a 1-bedroom apartment in our hometown right now. Our kids don't want to go with him because they have to sleep on an air mattress in a pull-out bed, and it's uncomfortable. The best scenario is for our kids to have 2 homes that are comfortable and close by, and I'm very aware of this, but still believe it should be in our home state. He wanted to meet for dinner the other night, and I agreed. He presented me with a new plan to move, including a brand new home for me, and offered me more alimony than I was awarded, basically the rent he currently pays for the apartment. Additionally, he offered an in-law suite apartment for my mom to stay in or move with us. What he presented was better than any scenario he presented when we were married. I could have a much more comfortable life if I agreed to these terms. They would be legally binding, but I still shut it down because this is the reason we got divorced. He's arguing that I'm ruining his life, and I think he did that all by himself. He thinks I'm being vindictive, and an outside opinion might be helpful. So, am I the idiot for refusing to move? Edit. My youngest child has a learning disability and is thriving in his current placement, and I do not want to remove him from his school and teacher. Not the idiot. How could a partner be so focused on living somewhere that he is willing to give up his marriage and his children? This guy is nuts and has his priorities backward, but I bet he met someone there a long time before the divorce. That's the only way it makes sense. I don't think so. There's a really good chance that the local woman is a rebound or is going to ruin him worse when she files. I am so sorry, OP. He destroyed his family over a personal obsession, and I bet his kids know it. I bet they know this has nothing to do with acting in their best interest. It's just a selfish desire. He thought he'd win custody because he makes more money. Turns out the court didn't like uprooting your children so dad can work on his tan. OP, I don't think you're being vindictive. You don't want to move. You already offered reasonable compromises, moving at retirement, having a summer home. He was the one where it was all or nothing. He's missing the point completely. This isn't about money, you being spiteful or vindictive, or wanting anything from him. This is about the fact that you have a life where you are. He doesn't see you or the kids as whole humans, just as accessories to be dragged along to wherever he wants it to be. Yeah, dude's lost his mind. He met someone there but wants to move his ex-wife down and ex-mother-in-law down because he couldn't buy his kids off to force your hand. He sounds like he's had a serious mental break and he's fixating on one thing. He needs to get his priorities straight. He is not the center of the universe. You all do not need to revolve around him like the sun. My brother is 13 years older than me. And I've known my whole life, all 19 years, that he would have preferred to remain an only child. We are not close. He's never had time for me, never wanted me in his life or to be in mine. When he moved out, he stayed distant from me. He'd speak to our parents and visit them, but it was like I wasn't there. Over the years, I got used to it. When I was 12, our parents asked him if he would let me stay for a weekend because they were attending an adult-only wedding. He said no, but he didn't just say no. He was clear that he would never want that kind of contact with me. They argued back then over it, not sure how bad it got, but they never asked again, and nothing changed between him and me. It always stood out to me that he was almost disgusted to be asked, and by the idea that he would need to spend time with me. He never showed up to my birthdays or got me anything for Christmas or my birthday. My parents were bothered, but always told me once we were both grown, our relationship would be more equal and could grow. They wanted to believe that more than they actually did. My brother's been with the same woman for like 8 years. I've met her a grand total of 2 times. Now they're engaged and everyone's all excited. His fiancée came over while I was at my parents' house for Christmas and asked me to be her bridesmaid. She brought up how they needed to include me since all of her siblings were bridesmaids and groomsmen. I asked if that was the only reason, and she was silent because she was asking a stranger for the sake of appearances. So I told her it was nice to offer and all, but I couldn't accept and wouldn't attend the wedding. She freaked out and went crazy about how my lack of attendance will overshadow the day, and sometimes you go for family, even if you're not close to or know the family, because family is important. I had to leave my parents' house because they were also unhappy when they heard that I was planning on not going. They told me he was my brother and I should be at his wedding, even if I wasn't a bridesmaid. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Weddings are for family and friends. If it's such an issue for your brother's fiancée, and if she keeps freaking out at you and everyone else about it, tell her that. And your brother has never seen you, let alone treated you as family or friend. It shouldn't be on you, ever, to be the one to have to play nice. He never made an effort, and if you don't care to do so, you're under no obligation to try. He gets to reap what he sowed. I'm sorry your parents are so deep in denial over his idiot behavior. You, very literally, owe him nothing. Although you are giving him the gift he always wanted, acting like he doesn't have a sister. It's probably worth it. Every other very good reason aside, there's not a chance your absence would overshadow the day. If this is how he treats you and talks about you in your presence, I'd be willing to bet that plenty of the attendees don't even know he has a sister. I would have asked the fiancée whether she had cleared this idea with her future husband, because it seems to be clear that he would probably be against inviting OP at all, not just as a bridesmaid. Instead, she seemingly went behind her future husband's back, trying to poke her nose into another family's relationship for the sake of keeping appearances. OP, you have every right to turn down the invitation. I, 34 female, live in the US. I'm a professional makeup artist, and I work for a small company that provides makeup to people for things like weddings, proms, photo shoots, etc. Basically, I do their makeup for them. I've had this job for the past 10 years. First of all, let me clarify that this has nothing to do with skin tone. This was over skin texture and condition. I had a client yesterday, who I assume is a mid-teen, that wanted makeup done for a school dance. She made the appointment through the company I work for, and I didn't meet her or see her at all before she came in to get her makeup done. Long story short, her skin was in terrible condition, and I didn't feel comfortable putting makeup on it. She had so many open wounds on her face, which I assume were acne scars. She also had a rash around her eyes and mouth. I still don't know what it was, but it was light red patches around her eyes and mouth. I was genuinely worried that she might have a skin condition or something that's contagious. Yes, my company sanitizes everything, and I know if it's done properly, nothing should spread. But to be honest, it still weirded me out to put makeup brushes over her wounds, and what I think was a rash, then later use those same brushes on other clients. It just didn't sit well with me. I also don't think makeup on her skin would be good for her in general. Foundation going into open wounds isn't necessarily recommended, It might have made her skin even worse. I tried to be very nice to the girl and explained that I couldn't do her makeup because of the risk of infection. I made it seem like my only concern was her own skin health, since I didn't want to seem mean and basically say, I don't want you spreading diseases around to my clients. I was very careful with my words and honestly did my absolute best not to offend her, but I still had to be firm in the fact that I wasn't comfortable doing her makeup. The company offered her a full refund and even waived the cancellation cost, but she insisted she needed her makeup done. My manager ended up sort of siding with me and not forcing me to do it, but talked to her and asked if she'd be okay with just eyeshadow and not a full face, which I still really didn't want to do, but if she agreed to that, I would have. She kept insisting on a full face and made a big scene, ended up calling me a witch and a Karen, then eventually stormed out. Should I have just done her makeup and not said anything? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She needs a dermatologist, not a makeup artist. You're likely not the first to turn her down. Professionals aren't just about the money. You were keeping your other clients' health in mind, as well as caring about what would happen to her with the foundation and open wounds. Any true professional would let her down easily and then show her the door. That's a safety and health issue. I don't think it's ethical to do it anyway when you have clear concerns. The chemicals in the makeup should also cause them to become infected and cause more problems for the poor girl. You were doing the right thing by protecting your other clients. I feel sympathy for her, but on the other hand, it's pretty selfish of her to not understand that her skin issue could spread illnesses to other people. You are the idiot for being motivated by fear of it being contagious. As someone with eczema, a skin condition that isn't contagious, I live my life with people like you who just look down at me when I talk to them. Having skin conditions is already very painful because as soon as everyone sees you, they're unattracted. That poor kid, she probably just wanted to look pretty for a night and thought you could help, but you refused. I'm also concerned that you don't use disposable tools. Every makeup artist I've seen uses disposable sponges, brushes, etc., and a mixing palette, so they aren't dipping used items back into the product. Agree. I have never heard of anyone refusing to do makeup because they had acne. You totally shamed a teenager, probably damaging her self-esteem. You said it yourself. My company sanitizes everything, and I know if it's done properly, nothing should spread. That means that this was all you judging the girl. You humiliated a teen girl, and her only wrongdoing was having acne. You are very mean. My daughter, nearly adult female, has been skipping school to go to our local art gallery, and I followed her to see that she's just looking at paintings for hours. My daughter's a straight-A student who used to enjoy going to school and has made dear friends. Her teacher informed me that she had awful attendance recently, so when I found out what she had been doing, I asked her teacher whether this was bullying, and she said absolutely not, and that her classmates were worried about her well-being. I told her that she was banned from going to art galleries indefinitely. She just started crying and telling me that I had ruined everything. She informed me that she was missing school because she prefers the company of the paintings rather than the annoying company at school. She wouldn't go into any more detail. That was the end of it. My wife, on the other hand, disagrees with me. She told me that I'm just making her disobey us more and we should go at this from a different approach. I completely disagreed and thought my daughter should stop letting her artistic desires drive her away from what she needs to become. Now my daughter and wife both disagree with me and think this isn't a way to go about it. Am I the idiot? Yep, you are the idiot. Your daughter isn't going to a crack house to get high. She's experiencing art voluntarily. Agreed, she shouldn't be skipping school and damaging her academic work. But banning her from galleries is going to, number 1, make her resent you, 2, not make her feel better about school, and 3, potentially damage her love of art, which is a good thing. Instead of this, why not work out a deal with her for heaven's sake? If you have a semester without a missed class, I will take you to insert major gallery here within your budget for a weekend of unbridled art viewing. If you get straight A's, I'll try to get you a face-to-face with a curator or gallerist. Don't crush something positive in your child's life. Not sure what you mean by what she needs to become. What she becomes is her decision, not yours. I suspect there's some deeper reason she spends so much time at the gallery. However, with the way you handled it, I doubt she'll confide in you. If you approached it differently, you'd have a shot at helping her have the best of both school and her art world. It ain't about the art. Dude, address the actual problem. Instead of throwing down the hammer and being dismissive with this do as I say attitude, why not have an open dialogue to find out exactly what the underlying issue is and be willing to discuss options for a plan forward and negotiate with her? My husband and I have been living off mostly frozen meals and takeout for the last few years, but as a New Year's resolution, we wanted to start making more home-cooked meals. This was his idea, and I was all for it. We planned a big meal to kick it off with a roasted chicken and lots of sides that we could save and eat throughout the week. The day before, I prepped a bunch of the veggies for sides and the spices the day before. I grew them, but have never really used them for cooking. The day to cook everything came, and he said he wanted to go hang out with his friends, which was fine, but I asked that he be back by a certain time so we could start making dinner together. That time came and went, and I started cooking the chicken, but asked him to be back to help with the sides. Again, that didn't happen, and by the time everything was done, he was still out drinking with his buddies, and when I called, somewhat angry, he hung up on me. I took all the food and threw it into the dumpster. I know it was a waste of perfectly good food, and I'm wrong for that, but I was so mad that this thing we were supposed to be doing together was just me cooking while he went out and got drunk with friends. He thinks I'm the idiot for throwing out everything in anger. My reasoning is that he wanted to start home cooking meals, but then bailed the second I asked him to help. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Did he actually just expect to come home to a fully cooked meal after you planned to do it together, and he bailed to go drinking, then hung up on you? What a loser. Given my temperament, that man is lucky OP threw the meal out rather than putting it all out on the front step for his intoxicated self and the local raccoons to find, and changing the locks. Everyone's the idiot. I totally get your anger, but that was such a waste of food. I would have cooked it, sat down, and had myself a nice meal without him, not called to tell him it was done, and when done, cleaned up, put the food away, and then if he asked, tell him he's welcome to make himself a plate. I would not have wasted the food and wouldn't give him the satisfaction of making me angry. I don't know. People are getting very precious about food for one meal. She didn't throw out the entire fridge. I bet the sight of it nauseated her completely. It's not food after that. It symbolizes betrayal and disappointment. This behavior of his might be a pattern, and it's likely a relationship-ending situation.